Spoiler alert, I just picked 9 zucchinis. Do you think I have enough? All right, time for another garden tour. I've got some seedlings here which I'm going to plant out this evening. A couple of different types of sunflowers, and then some cuttings that I took from a salvia that I spotted in a really nice park. These were sort of an iridescent bright blue salvia, and they're just beautiful. I potted up these 2 citrus plants. So this plant here was in a little bit of a smaller pot, and this lemon tree was in this pot, and I've just planted it up into a wine barrel. I'm going to do this mandarin tree next, up into that half wine barrel over there. Not the best time of year for it because they can get a bit stressed with the heat. Apparently you're meant to do it in early spring. But for now, this one I did about a week ago. It seems really happy. I'm just always putting my garden sensor in, checking the moisture levels and making sure that it's not drying out too much. Hello, Annie. What are you eating? Good girl. She's scrounging around for more fruit, I think. I just had a nectarine. So this one is the Goldmine nectarine, which is a white flesh nectarine. The flesh on it was still really hard and had a tinge of green to it, so it wasn't quite ready. If you look in here, look at those peaches. They're getting a good size on them. This is an Alberta peach. It's a yellow flesh peach. And I ended up cutting out that nectarine that was diseased in my previous videos. There was quite a lot of disease on every branch and quite a few cankers and what looked like sunburn, or, you know, these sort of angry looking red spots. So I was very happy with my decision to plant a quince here, especially after having some quince on Christmas Day and realizing that it's probably my favorite fruit. Pear trees are looking really healthy. I just love the look of this parallel espalier. Update on my nashi pears. So Nija Sakai, they're doing really well. I'll probably have to net them at some point to stop bats or possums from getting at them. I've got lots and lots of tomatoes. They've pretty much grown to the top of their stakes and they're starting to kind of ramble and climb over. I've just come out to pick some of the tomato plants, and I'm picking ones that have just a little bit of colour on them. I know it doesn't look like much. I think that they still taste beautiful when they ripen on the bench. What are your thoughts? I know some people like to leave them to ripen on the tree, but I've just picked them when they're getting the tiniest bit of colour on them and let them ripen on the bench for a few days. You can see these ones here I picked probably 3 days ago. These ones I picked today and yesterday. Might even end up freezing some, which I did a couple of years ago when I had lots of plants and I had a surplus. I just ended up freezing them in these freezer bags with some basil so that I could tip them out when I wanted to. It was a really easy, quick way of storing them. I didn't have the setup to do canning. I still don't. I probably will plan on doing that next year. But for now, I find that freezing them works really well. Got some more down here in my self-seeded tomatoes. These are like bonus tomatoes because I didn't plant them. They just popped up from compost. Had some in a salad the other day with some fresh basil, and it was just the most beautiful salad. My favorite thing to eat in summer. Cucumbers. Oh, there's another one. This one feels quite hollow. It's no good. Most of these passion fruit are nice and heavy feeling, and I just wait until they're basically dropping off the tree before I pick them up off the ground. You can see my zucchini, which I've spoken about before, that's had a bit of an issue with pollination and these young fruits dropping off and rotting. But we've had this one's developing, and honestly, I'm almost glad that I've had a pollination problem, because if all of these flowers turned into fruit, I might pick that one before it gets too big and I have to eat it. If all of these female zucchini flowers turned into fruit, I'd have a problem. See, look at this. We've obviously had a male flower showing up. I spoke previously about how I couldn't spot any male flowers. See, there it is. That's done a lot of work. This one zucchini flower. See, I've got 5 already, and there's a few more on that side. Got a pumpkin there, strawberry. This is a strawberry that actually self-seeded somewhere in my chook pen, and I just grabbed it out of the ground. Little golden nugget pumpkin. I was talking to my nana recently, and she said that she's got golden nugget pumpkins growing, and they're not actually that good to eat. Like, they're pretty bland, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully mine taste all right. In the chook pen, there's some really interesting things popping up, actually. Lots and lots of weeds, but I had a look back here the other day. So I've planted a few salvia cuttings in with this mulberry twig. But in the back over there, there's a rhubarb, which is great. And what else did I spot? Some passion fruit vine. The chooks, when they come in, will hopefully deal with that. They're pretty good. They eat the passion fruit leaves, but you can see there, that's rootstock. I don't want that getting out of control, because that just takes over. And I saw a few things. There's some arum lilies there. I saw some spinach the other day that's gone to seed. I'm just kind of letting them go for now, because the chooks will hopefully deal with all of that once they come in. These tomatoes look really healthy. This is a variety that my Italian neighbour gave me, that him and his wife, they make sun-dried tomatoes every year with. So I'm looking forward to that. I might give it a shot, actually. Here we've got some capsicum. I think I'll wait for them to go red before I harvest them, because I prefer red capsicum, but they're looking beautiful. Over here I've got some rhubarb, which is going to seed, it seems. I should cut that stem off. Wonder if I can break it off. There we go. I can just pull that out. This is how I get rhubarb growing in my chook pen, no doubt. I'm just chucking everything over there. Some little okra. I've had 1 okra so far, and I can't tell you what it tasted like, because I put it in a big casserole dish with all sorts of other things like kale and basil and tomatoes and zucchini. So yeah, I've got to pull this coriander out and hang it as well, so I can catch these seeds, which are already starting to dry. Hopefully some of them will sprout up. Lots of basil. I made pesto recently and froze a fair bit of it. So when I make pesto, I freeze it in little ice cube trays and then pop them out into Ziploc bags. You can just pop out a few cubes of pesto into your hot pasta, stir it around a little bit, and you've got a quick and easy and delicious meal. Look at this tomato. Isn't that just magnificent? Look at the shape of that. So beautiful. These beans are somewhat disappointing. A few of the plants have dried, and what I think it is these metal raised beds, particularly with the quality of the soil in them at the moment, it's relatively poor quality soil, because I moved my garden beds and imported some new soil rather than using the old soil that I'd enriched. but I planted them relatively close to the edge here, and the beds dry out. Like compared with previous years where I've had beans that by this time of year would have covered this whole thing, they're kind of growing relatively slowly, and quite a few of the flowers are just dropping off, like they're not turning into beans. We do have some beans, like looking at these purple king beans, they've actually done the best. We've had several handfuls of them. We've got a few, but not as many as I would have hoped. Like looking at it from the side, like this archway here, I've planted them just to the right, closest to the edge of the bed. I'd probably plant them about here and then just use some bamboo sticks and train them up to the trellis that way, so that the soil in the middle of the bed stays a bit more moist. So I'll probably do that next year. Spring onions are doing well. They're kind of getting bigger and bigger. The dill flowers look pretty magnificent too. I've used them in bouquets and things like that when I've taken them over to people's houses. You can see these beautiful seed heads.